Okay, now you should be able to hear me. Sorry for that. Unfortunately, when you reinstall OBS, what it does is it literally it just rewrites stuff to default, and my microphone was set to default, which never works on my computer or anyone else's computer as far as I ever know. Thank you, Microsoft. I'm just go back to what I was originally talking about, so I'm just going to bring this back up. So this is a piece I did called Controlling Bitcoin, the Composite Operator, because I want to talk about manipulation and psychology. I want to talk about, in particular, manipulation. So out of all the possible things you could trade, aside from a few shit coins, this one is the most manipulated because it is held so tightly. You know, if you hold 99% of the shares in a stock, then you can tell the price where to go just by buying or selling the final 1%. This isn't as bad as that. This is like 2,000 accounts owning 40% of Bitcoin. But this is the one they can really manipulate. And why would they manipulate it? Well, to make money. There's a psychological aspect. And, you know, back in the 60s, the hippies would talk about the man and say, oh, the man, well, I'm not going to do anything for the man. That would generally be the government and probably the banks. But here we have a whole bunch of people who are not colluding, at least as far as I know. And I've worked in areas where I might have found, if there was collusion, I'd have heard about it. And I know enough people to believe that there isn't. But there's no need, because they know your psychology. The banks and the hedge funds and so forth, they know your psychology, and they can read you like a book, and they play you like a fish, and you think you've got away with it, and then they ruin. I mean, how many times do you psychologically balls up when you're trading? You know, you stop yourself out, and literally it just plummets immediately as soon as you're stopped. That is because they kind of know where your stops are, and it's even more true in Bitcoin. But it's not a question of them colluding. They don't need to, because they know how you behave. They know how to make money out of you. Okay, so let's go back to the Bitcoin price and have a look at this. This is a mess, isn't it? So you got, what is it, slowly descending? Will it pop up? You know, this is a mess. Unless you're trading on some, you know, bot that you know works, or a small term strategy, you know, there is no big position to be taken here. This is a 1 hour though, and what we have to do is look out, look outside the 1 hour. Let's go out to, I want to go to the weekly, because I think the weekly is the most reliable information. Now we're busy sweeping this high here. So above here were a load of stop losses. People would sell it maybe here with a stop loss up here. We got all those stop losses out, didn't we? And there's a whole new load of morons and knobs just going on and on and on. I'm just checking you can hear me now. Ah, right now, Bergsman. How was Crete? Crete was really lovely. I accidentally stayed in a very, very nice place. I don't normally. So what I'm looking at here is, I think, and I start with this reason, that I think that the big boys want to sell it here. So they want to buy it, and they bought it here. They certainly bought it in this area here below the value line. And now up here above recent highs, you know, there's no reason to hang on to it. And one of the things that convinces me each time of this is if you just look at their behavior, because there's something called the COT, which is Commitments of Traders Report, which is published every week. And it's a small snapshot of some of the hedge funds using Chicago. I think it's the Merck that have these futures on them. And you can tell whether or not the hedge funds, the short-term traders, the sort of short to medium ones, not the really long-term ones, you know, that's pension funds and so forth, but the guys who are in and out and can just trade this, maybe stay in for a few days, maybe stay in for a few months, or in the big banks' reasoning, they buy it all down low and they sell it all up here, and that's all they do. And the only thing they do aside from that is to get it up here, get you excited so you'll buy it and they can sell it to you. Now, if we look at the COT over time, so guess what? They're really long it here. They sell it when it rises. They sell it again. And then here, this line is the net position. Here, they buy it all back down low. And look what they've done since. This is the shortest they've ever been. Okay, so this is supporting my view that they like to sell up here. I believe they like to sell up here. So then I can go in and say, right, let's get rid of that. What do I want to do? Do I want to sell this? Now, the way I've traded Bitcoin has been long only, cash only. It can't be stopped out. I too was buying it under the value line. and I took my profit when it reached this first inversion. So I basically averaged in around 24 and got out around 35. So I made 60%. As far as I was concerned, that's brilliant. No, I just made that up, haven't I? It's 30%, and I'm very, very happy with that. And the fact that it went higher doesn't bother me in the least, because I got the trade right, DCA'd in, DCA'd out, very, very happy. I was actually looking for the C move, so I was expecting to see. I was expecting to see the kind of A, B, C pattern, but now we've had an extended B, and this isn't, as far as I'm concerned, this is not impulsive, so it's part of a longer flat, and we'll still get a C at some stage, and it will go below the value line. Those are my thoughts. You know, I'm drawn to like 21,000, but I will be DCAing in from anywhere on 28 where that value line is, unless obviously the market's dropping like a stone. But so this is my thoughts, and I say, well, what do I want to do? Do I want to sell this? Would I recommend selling it to people who like having fun selling crypto assets? God, I don't know. What I would say on the analysis, what we've got here on the weekly, I'm looking for Wyckoff now, because I'm convinced that this is a shorting area, and I can see the change of character, and that's all we've had so far. So I think there's more to come, basically. So here's the change of character. Lower high, lower low, change of character. Now, you will, if this is a genuine Wyckoff, get a UTAD. Now, the thing is, you don't always get Wyckoffs in the same way. And a UTAD, for those of you who don't know what I mean, is an extra jump up to this sort of level, just to take all the stops out before dropping. And then sometimes you can either add, sorry, a UT, that's an up thrust, not a UTAD. And then you can then sometimes have a UTAD, which will take it even higher. Ignore this. Oh, I can just move that out of the way. Oh, there are two of them. Just delete that one. Okay, so a UTAD would be even higher, having had a drop back down into the range. But I'm just saying there's going to be at least a UT if there's going to be a Wyckoff. And the thing is, if I can't see a definitive Wyckoff, I'm not that bothered anyway, because it means it's chaotic and I don't know what's going on, so why would I put my feet in there? Yes, I think it's going down, but it could go down from higher. If I see a genuine Wyckoff move, then I'm far more interested. So what I'm looking for is, we've had this down move, and I'm looking for some kicking around, a UTAD, bit of mucking about up here again, down to here, sorry, a UT, where the thing is not UTAD, and then it'll either give you a UTAD, which gives you this widening pattern, so you get a sign of weakness as well before the next one. But the real only time to actually be thinking about getting in is probably when it's already done all this and returned down to the lower levels, and you generally get a fair amount of wiggling about the lower levels. Let's call it sort of down here after this. Let's just do that over here, because I'm saying that after the UT or the UTAD, we'll get some play down here, and then when it leaves, it'll probably retest, at which point I'd be happily shorting it if I were that way inclined. Now, I noticed and pointed out to loads of people in the Discord. By the way, we're doing a lifetime. We've got another week or so more of lifetime memberships. So if you've been waiting for that, then go to the website or go to the Discord and get a lifetime. What was I saying? So yeah, would I sell Bitcoin? Well, I was pointing out on the Discord in the members area that MicroStrategy, it was trading at 2,000 the other day, and I just said this is more than double what it's worth, because Bitcoin, the Bitcoins it held were worth like half of what the market cap was up here. Now the thing is, I didn't sell it because I want to see a UT. Now I knew it was a short squeeze, and so that was an opportunity. But this is another reason to just not go off on one. I thought to myself, right, this is a short squeeze, and it's just reached the buyer's climax, really. You know, at the same time as this was going on, this was the high in Bitcoin, and everyone was short and caught and running. Some of them still will be, and I don't think that they have enough. I think I can't remember what the exact figures are, but I think the real value, if you regard it as just a Bitcoin asset, is still down here. Okay, so I'm, rather than selling Bitcoin, if it gets up there, I'm far more interested in selling some MicroStrategy, because it's like selling Bitcoin at 140,000 instead of 70 or 80, because it's just the wrong price. And if we're right and it falls, Bitcoin falls, then this will go completely the other way and probably be at a discount, because people will run out of faith. Excuse me whilst I drink. So that in a nutshell is what my thoughts are on Bitcoin, and MicroStrategy obviously added to that. I'm just going to go and have a look at what's up on there if anyone's asking. No, I can't see you, Lewis. Stop being like this, honestly. Right, I don't really have much else to say, so I just wanted to get that out, that you know, the composite, there's no such thing as the man, you know, there's not one guy doing any of this, but all of these people have the same agenda, so they kind of act like a person. So they act like a composite man, and the retail act like a bunch of an average retail trader. So if you take up everything all the retail traders do, then that's an average retail trader, and they will hand money to the enemy like this. That's what they do. Let's switch back to this. It is what they do. So as a result, that's a psychological profile that's known, and the big boys know it, and they know their own psychological profile, and it's really, really, really simple, which is buy down there, sell up there. It's literally what they do. So at the beginning of the whole Bitcoin and crypto saga, they were telling everybody that it was a pile of old poo and not to touch it. And what do you think they were doing? Well, they were buying it. And then when they got it going, because they do, using the news, and this is all of them doing it. You know, everyone's in on this. Everyone is, and some of them don't even know they're in on it. Like, news outlets don't realise they are part of the manipulation. The stuff they end up printing, you know, they don't know that they're doing this, but they're just printing anything that anyone will say. And when things are going up, everyone's always really bullish. Hey, because they're retail, and meanwhile banks are silently, patiently just selling it to them gently all the way through. They need it to go up pretty fast at first, so they're in the money, and then after that they can just gently slide stuff out. Because if they sell the whole amount they've warehoused, then the market crashes, and that's no good for them because they're long it. So they're very, very gentle, and they just wait for the UT and the UTAB. I think that's pretty much all I want to say. I have no idea how to stop this in YouTube. I'm really going to have to buck my ideas up on that. I'm just going to check if anyone asks any questions. No. Okay then. You take it easy, guys.